I realized recently I have been romanticizing versions of my past life. And sometimes we can convince ourselves that just because some parts of our past may have been better, that our life so sometimes we can convince ourselves that because our past was better or it was a certain way, that our life right now isn't that good because it's uncomfortable. Let me just fix this. But it's like, what if we just started working with the hand that we've been dealt with? And when I say romanticizing, I've found my times a few times always thinking about the past, whether it's good or bad, right? So there's times where and I remember I've done it many times where I would think about the past where I'll be like, okay, but this part was really good. So for example, like when I had my previous business, there was a part where I was like, oh, I really liked this business. I liked the aspect of making the money, but I remember how I always felt. How I always felt was I felt like there was something more. I felt like this wasn't it. Like this wasn't the end for me. This wasn't a thing I was going to do for 20 years. And despite everyone not understanding like why I didn't want to do it, why I wanted to move forward, I decided to end that business. And I found myself sometimes even like now or there'll be little sprints because right now I'm just being very transparent. I'm just more passionate about inspiring women. I'm more passionate about helping people and being real and authentic online. And there has been times where I will think back to the past and I'd be like, oh, maybe I should go back doing that very thing. And I would like to know how many of us have done that, where you walked away from it, no, like very confident about it, but then when you're trying to do things in the present, where you're shifting gears, you're basically doing things that you're passionate about, you're walking God's purpose, you will sometimes just look back. How many of us have done that? And I think I got more aware of this when I went to the Women's Evolve conference because, and this was last year, so 2025 in July, I went to Women's Evolve and Christine Kane came on the stage and she talked about the story of Lot in the Bible and how when the wife, and I'm sure we all heard this story, like this is not nothing like, groundbreaking, right? And she talked about how Lot's wife looked back, and soon as she looked back, she turned into stone. And I've heard this story for many years, okay? But you know what was different about it? It was this time when I heard it, I saw myself always looking back and saying, oh, maybe I should have kept that business. The very business that I didn't like, the very business where I was like, I had enough of this. I don't want to do this anymore. It was the very business where I knew I had to pivot because once I started these doing these type of videos, I loved doing them. And I realized that every time I was looking back, and every time I looked back, it basically affected where I was right now. It made me very unhappy in the present. And sometimes we don't realize this. Sometimes you may not even realize it that you're romanticizing. It's like you're dating your past, but you don't realize it because it has become a routine. You're used to doing this. Like this is nothing new, right? And So you're gonna keep on doing it. You'll naturally just keep on thinking about the past and certain things that you liked about it, better about it. Certain things you may have not liked about it. Like there's some things that I romanticize. Like for example, like how I don't have a good relationship with like some of my family, especially my mom. I probably will do a video on that. And sometimes I'll romanticize and I'll be like, man, like if this was different, I wish this was different. I wish certain people were here. Um, like I wish like this was done differently so I wouldn't have got hurt. And you don't realize, but sometimes when you keep on looking back, you keep on looking back to the past, all it does is it stomps your present right now because it makes you feel ungrateful for the present, which affects your future when you think about it. And that's something like going back to last year came when Kristen Kane said that, when she talked about looking back, I realized, okay, that was a time where I'm like, okay, I have to stop looking back because I couldn't believe how many times I've been looking back. Like, let me know if you have ever looked back and you kept on thinking about something in the past and you kept on reminiscing about it. And I feel like it's like the same idea as if you're saying negative thoughts to yourself over and over again. You may not realize it, you may not catch it until you're fully aware of it because you do it all the time. And that was my journey on like learning to stop romanticizing the past. And don't get me wrong, it still comes up now. Like it still shows up where it's you're tempted to romanticize the past because it's so much easier because you can escape your present, especially if you're in an uncomfortable journey, especially if you're in a building journey, right? Especially if you're in a transformational journey. But we have to remember that it's better to romanticize the present. I wish we did that more often. I wish I did that more often. It's just being in the present and romanticizing where you are right now and enjoying it because there was a time where you're probably in the past where there's something that you didn't like or maybe you did like and weren't a fan of it, right? Of the thing that you didn't like and you wanted to change. Because I remember like when I was like working on a business that I wasn't in love with, it was killing me every day. Like I was burnt out, I was dragging my feet. And for me, it's like when I'm burnt out and dragging my feet, then my results start to plummet until I get back that spark and passion. And there are days where I would think back and I'm like, maybe I should go back. Because now I'm in a different season, right? Now I have a job. And I would love to talk about that experience, like going transitioning from a business to a job. But it's like now I have a job and there's so much benefits that I've seen having a job now. It's not something I have to do forever. But like it's just allowed me to slow down. I remember I was doing Uber Eats and it was in a really nice neighborhood in my area. And I looked at one of the houses. It was like a really big house. And I remember I heard a subtle voice. I swear it was God. I heard a subtle voice say, I made you do this so you could just slow down. And I was like, what? And I think it meant by like before when I had the business, I feel like I was always going. I always kept on going and going and going. And I never really took time to slow down. Like it was very hard for me to just slow down and go for a walk. Like yes, I would do it, but it was very hard for me. Like I think now it has a new meaning for me to just slow down, to be in my thoughts, be in true solitude. And I think like when I had that business, it was like go 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 because you're trying to get clients, right? It was a whole marketing agency. Um, and I remember when I heard that, it gave me a new perspective because sometimes we don't realize it, but the reason why I say romanticize your present because there's a reason why you're doing what you're doing right now. Like you don't see it. There's something that God is working behind the scenes that you can't see, right? Um, but yeah, do share like if you feel like there's something you've romanticized in the past and what that journey's been like for you. But I feel like with my journey is like I had to stop romanticizing the past because it was holding me back. That was the biggest thing I realized when I was at Women Evolve. It was just holding me back. And I had to make a decision to be like, okay, I'm gonna look at what God's doing now. I'm gonna look at my present right now and find the things I enjoy. One of the things I like is like every time I speak with my therapist, she'll always remind me like there's days where I just want to retract. Like there's days where I want to just retract and be in this pity party. And she'll always be like, so did you do the activity that you like? Did you do your hobby? Like, or like she's like, did you choose a court like a class on ClassPass? Like she'll always remind me because she's like, you can't stop doing those things because those are the things that keep you going. Those are the things for me, like when I do something I enjoy other than working, it allows me to think. It allows me to be in my solitude, allows me to think clearly, actually, more clearly. And that's why I started like doing like journaling and stuff and journaling every day. Because I find that it allowed me to hear my thoughts and be more clear. Um and so yeah, so romanticizing my present is obviously a journey, but I think it's so much better than always going back in the past because you can't change the past. Um, so yeah, we're gonna leave it at this. Um, don't romanticize your past, and if you've watched the end, as you know, I've been creating these journals, like these digital tools for women. I'm there to inspire women. I want to help women, and just to like feel good about their life, feel good in their solitude. And so I linked a journal that I did, the Happy Journal. And what I love about that Happy Journal is I made it because I was like, okay, journaling doesn't always have to be so serious. Like it could be fun, it could be silly. And funny enough, like this goes into your past, but it like goes into the good memories. So you can reminisce about the good memories and see like where you are right now and make you feel good. So days where you're like, oh, I'm not feeling it, I feel kind of blah. You go in that journal, you pick a question that's fun, that reminds you of good memories. And I think that's a really good thing. Because I think that most of the time when we romanticize our past, we're thinking about the stuff that maybe we did that we thought we should do differently, or the stuff that we did that we wish we didn't do. Um because when we look at our present, it doesn't necessarily fit the vision that we had um moving forward when we may have changed that decision in the past. So that's it for today. Bye.